Hey Hardin County, this is Michelle Labus, and I wanted to talk to you about the Hardin County Commissioners' public etiquette rules during Hardin County Commissioner Board meetings. So this is a paper, I'll show it to you here, that they approved at their organizational meeting at the beginning of the year. I suppose this is their policy, and I was just thinking that maybe they have a more robust policy that kind of does procedures that, you know, this is the workflow, this is how it kind of happens. This is more like a list of things. They're not necessarily in order. So they're a little bit confusing, but, you know, this is their public etiquette rules. I guess it's just public etiquette. So anyways, I want to share it with you guys so that if you want to come in, which I encourage everybody to come in on Tuesdays, Thursdays at, you know, it starts at 9 o'clock and usually is done, I mean, it's all different times, but you know, usually before lunch, that you know what to expect when you come to the commissioner's office. There's you can always call and get on the agenda, call the office, and so that you know that you have about a 30-minute time frame allotted to you. This one, you only get 3 minutes, although you know, it's already been proven that they're not following this etiquette, so you know how strict they're going to be, I don't know. Number 1, public conversations on cell phones during commissioner board meetings are prohibited, which I don't know if that's the public's conversations or if that's public conversations for the commissioners, because they are by far the ones who are on their cell phones the most. Now, you know, ideally, if you're having on a public phone call in a public meeting, then it should be broadcast. So I'm assuming that they are private conversations during the public meeting. So kind of hairy. So I'm not sure if that is strictly for the public or also applies to the commissioners. Number 2, public cell phones during commissioners' board meetings are to be silenced. You know, pretty standard there. Sometimes you forget. One time I had my computer on and it, you know, made a dinging noise, and you know, didn't expect it to happen. It happens, you know, but for the most part, you're going to have it silenced. Number 3, public sidebar conversations without commissioner approval during commissioner board meetings are prohibited. This does not prohibit attorney-client discussions. I don't know where this one is stemming from. I mean, I've been going to the commissioner's office for about a year now, so maybe there are situations where they want to call this out, where, you know, does not prohibit attorney-client discussions. I mean, I get that, you know, but part of my question is, we're not allowed to talk in the meetings. So when do you get approval for these sidebar conversations? You know, how would you possibly ask for approval for a sidebar? Usually sidebar conversations are very spontaneous. You know, I did have that one conversation with Joe that the commissioners were not happy about. And so, you know, maybe that's a rule because of that. You know, I've also seen other people come in and have sidebar conversations that have been, you know, pretty crude, but that didn't cause a problem. So yeah, that one's a little bit confusing. I'm not sure. Like I said, this is not really a policy. It's kind of a list of good ideas, you know, but how is it actually gonna work out? I'm not sure. But number 4, the public has the right to observe commissioner board meetings, but not the right to speak. See, it's the sidebar conversations. Any outbursts or disruptions by a member or members of the public will be warned once, which, you know, I get you know, you're going to cover yourself because you're going to say, okay, it's just one time and you know, I'm not going to give you to a count of 3. But generally, you know, that's a pretty hard thing to come by. So any additional disruption from that person will be grounds for removal from the meeting. We've seen that. You know, it's unfortunate because, you know, sometimes, you know, decisions are made that are upsetting, and just because, you know, you have a strong opinion, or you maybe are somebody who tends to be a little bit louder, you know, when you get more passionate about a thing, doesn't necessarily mean you're being disrespectful or that you need to be escorted out. It just means that, you know, you're allowed to push back, but not allowed to push back, but, you know, sometimes it's just a natural habit that is not necessarily intended to be bad, but whatever, you get one warning or you could be removed, which I get it, it covers them. Number 5, at the end of each meeting, any individual from the public may be recognized to address the county commissioners on a subject or concern. This one-time opportunity to address the board is limited to 3 minutes of speaking. So this is the one that, you know, they don't have to recognize you. I did clarify with Tori at one point that, because we don't know when the end of the meeting is, you know, and there are times when you may have a half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour that you're just sitting there waiting for the next person to come in, that I didn't know if public comment would be allowed then, or if it really was at the end of the meeting, which they do sort of close their meetings now. They say, you know, the work for the day is done, but they don't like adjourn or anything. So kind of the consensus and what they've proven is that as long as they feel that there is time available, you're allowed to speak, you know, on those in-between times, and not strictly at the end of the meeting, which again, it's just confusing. Number 6, if an individual from the public with a question on a subject or concern is not recognized, we request that they be submitted to the Board of County Commissioners for review. Now, I've read this sentence over many, many times, because the way it's written is that if the individual is not recognized, that individual should be submitted to the county commissioners for review. So I don't know, I am assuming that the question, right, because they've done this before, that they say, you know, write your questions down and submit them to the county commissioners. They will answer the questions and then get them back to you. So I think it's supposed to be written that if the person is not allowed to speak, that they are welcome to submit the question to the county commissioners for review. It doesn't even say that they're going to answer, it's just for review. So again, it's just a little unclear of what the procedure is. Number 7, profane, rude, and vulgar language is prohibited and may be grounds for removal from the meeting. Well, I've heard vulgar language and they were not removed. So again, it's not something that it's not something that people should do. I get it, you know, keep it nice. Individuals wishing to speak at board meetings must sign the sign-up sheet. They shall provide their name and topic of discussion. Again, they did not follow through with number 8. And I'm not, you know, I'm a very detailed person, so, you know, I'm going to nitpick each one of these things. All they're trying to do is give some grounds for the public coming in. You know, of course, if they want to change some of those to fit the specific situations, that's great. The only hard thing is that the policies like these are meant to be fair and to protect really the commissioners from any sort of discrimination, right? Because when you know, allow Jerry Kramer to speak, you know, but Leanne Matthews comes in and she's not allowed to speak, even though it's a very similar situation of, you know, it was after the morning meeting, they had plenty of time until the next person. You know, it really, you know, was that discrimination? You don't know. right? But that these type of policies are written to protect the commissioners, because if you say this is our policy and this is what we hold to, and we do it for everybody gets 3 minutes, everybody signs in, you know, everybody has the same amount of time, then you don't get that, even if there's no allegations of discrimination. It's that public perception, right? It's that public view that, you know, you'll listen to some people and not to other people, and you know, and that's just where you want to kind of avoid that. So you know, I think it's great, you know, they've come out, they've set down some rules, you know, there's nothing to say they can't change it in January, you know, to refine it and to you know, work out the bugs. It takes a process, but I just wanted you guys to know kind of what to expect, and that the policy is out there for whatever it's worth. All right, see you later.